Hi guys, it's Mike here. Today I'm starting a series, a really small series that's called Spectrum Noir Basics, and I'm doing the smooth coloring on solid images today. And you can see here the results. Um, I love my Spectrum Noirs. I've been using them for years, and well, like any alcohol marker, they have a little bit of a learning curve. So the Spectrum Noir markers, the new generation is octagonal, I think. 6 or 8 sides, I have not sure. And the gray band shows you where the bullet nib is, and the other side is the chisel tip and has no band. And I put little washi tapes around it, so I know those are my markers. Also on the rubber, there's a little image of which bullet or chisel tip on which side it is. Next, what I did when I got the sets, this is the pinks and the yellows, the sets of 6. I made little charts of which colors I think work the best together. And now I have to admit these images that were a little bit small for me. I have new glasses now, but yeah, it works better. But this way you can already start to know your markers and feel which colors would blend the best. And I didn't do the pale ones, that's the more like skin tones. And for all the 12 packs, I made a little stamp and put them together. And I keep them, so I can see what color combinations work. But then, of course, I didn't only get the 6 pack markers, and I'm also got the 24 markers and the new sets, the vintage and the nature. And I made this chart because of the 48 new colors. This is not the original Spectrum Noir chart. You can download it from Spectrum Noir. And I printed them on the Nina Classic Crest Ultra Smooth Solar White cardstock that Crafter Companion sells. And it's 216 grams. I think that's 110 pounds, thereabouts. And I cut it into 4, so I have a card size. I usually don't, unless I make a one-layer card, I don't use it also for the card base because that's way too expensive. And also showing you the Copic Express Blended. You can see it's much whiter. And some people really love this card. I got this in America, so this is not Dutch card size. It's a bit of a shame. And then I also once got these perfect blending paper, which I will be calling PBP. And yeah, same thing. And then there's this DCP, which is digital copy paper. And that is very flimsy at 160 grams. To me, it feels flimsy. For a panel, it's not, of course. So I just write down the initials, so I know which card is which, so you can see them in the comparison. I have to say I only actually use the Crafter's Companion Nina cardstock. I think that's the nicest. And you can test your paper if you want to. If you put your marker on the paper for 5 seconds, and you can see how big this circle gets. If it's too big, your paper absorbs too much and it will not blend well. If it's too small, it's too compact. It has to be, I don't know, I think about 2 or 3 millimeters in diameter. So this is the 80-pound one. And I left this at normal speed. So this bit I could have sped up, but I want to see, let you see that the coloring can be, quick enough. And well, I'm not showing you this in all the other parts, I think, but um, I don't know what I was gonna say. I'm gonna make some little series with how to shade, how to blend, and stuff like that. So you can use the momentum marker that is Copic safe, and also these I have Staedtler pigment liners, and you can stamp, of course, a shape, but for this purpose I just use the circle and the fine liners. It doesn't have to be perfect, actually. It's just, for demonstration purposes. So the colors I'm using is VB2, Vintage Blue 2, and I think Apple Green 5, yes. And the trick to coloring the image to me is just go around the outline, and you can use both, just on the inside. And you can turn your paper if you have to. And then when you have this little outline, you can use your chisel tip to fill in the big areas. Now the alcohol markers are transparent and they will darken if you layer them. And to get the smooth coloring that you want, you must layer it maybe 3 or 4 times. You can see here, this is one. If you go over a second time, it darkens up. After a while, when you reach the natural saturation of the color, it won't get darker again. You can go over it as much as you like, but that's it. See, 3, and it's 4, and now it doesn't get darker anymore. So you can see 3 or 4 is usually the amount you can go over it. And I have a boo-boo, which is good. I can show you that as well. The blender pen is a pure alcohol, and you work on piece of paper. Make sure there's no solid background, like a glass or your craft mat or anything that repels moisture. This is plexiglass. You need the absorption of paper underneath your work. It's very important, otherwise you get pooling and it might look weird. And here I'm showing, don't wipe but push the color through, and do it in little steps, because if you oversaturate the paper you will bleach out and it will fan out into your object. But just leave it there and come back to it later. So I'm doing the same for the green. These, by the way, are the new colors from the nature set, I think. And I'm sorry, I'm off screen. Ugh, I have to sit closer when I'm coloring. But yeah, same process. You just go around the edges and then you fill in the middle. And at the end, I go around the edges again. And this one I did with a bullet tip. You can see it's actually quite as fast, but if it were bigger, I would use a chisel tip. Just to, conserve your bullet tip. And I don't put any pressure on my markers. You don't have to. It's not like a pen or a pencil. You just slide it across the paper, which also preserves the tip, of course. And here it is again, once, twice, thrice. And it gets darker. 4, still a bit darker. And then 5, you can't see it anymore, I think. There it is. Now I'm going back with the blender. just to clean up the little boo-boos, which of course in this case is not important, but I wanted to show you can clean up your boo-boos. And here, hopefully on camera, you can see the graduation on how the color builds up to its true color, which is of course the darkest, and it will lighten up again a little bit when the alcohol dries up. So for the digital printer paper, I'm just using the one circle, and off camera I also did a bright pink, which you saw in the image at the start, and it's mostly to see or to show that the colors show up differently on different paper, and the way the Nina or Crafter's Companion paper shows them, I like them the most. On the some of this recipe makes them really bright and almost fluorescent in some colors. It looks more natural on the Crafter's Companion paper. And I tend to use circular motions, especially with blending, because they show up less. And I will show you that in the second video of this little series, when you want to shade two colors into one, or make a graduation. And here is again the I did that wrong now. I'm doing it again. I'm going over the same bit, but then you can't see the difference. This is that perfect blending paper, and I haven't used this in ages. And now I know why. There's like little ridges in the paper that show up, and that's also the case with the Copic Express blending card. There are little fibers in the paper that show up after coloring, which I don't like. Maybe a little bit boring, but it's really fun to color. Just even if it's just a circle and no shading at all, but just trying to get a blend without stripes and without blotches and stuff. We call it a smooth blend, which is, you know, of course, very important on solid images. There it is. I hope you can see the little differences in the color on the screen. You can certainly see the paper is a different color. And I zoomed out to give you a better view. To me, the DCP paper is lighter. And there's also little flecks in there. And again, the DCP is the digital copy paper that you can go and get at stuff like Kinko's. The Copic Express blending card also has the little flecks, and they show up shiny, a little bit like glitter. If you like that, that's cool. The Crafter's Companion has small fibers in it, but they don't show up very much. And the Perfect Blending paper has stripes, which, yeah, I don't like. Anyway, I hope you like the series. This is part 1. I'm doing them as little extras during the week, short videos, and I hope you learn and might make you a better colorer and not, you know, ditch your Spectrum Noirs at first try. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.